Hello, my name is Simon and welcome to another episode of SNES Chronicles. And today I'll be talking to you about Gradius III, a classic shooter released in August 23, 1991. One of the first 5 games to be released at the same time as the Super Nintendo. So we got a little intro here, we didn't see those often on consoles. I remember we were really impressed at the time. There's a 2-player mode, but you can't play at the same time. It really sucks. Not like Life Force. That game was great. So you're gonna tell me, this is Gradius 3, this is the second game you're talking us about, and it's the third in a series. Where are the 2 others? Well, they were on the NES and on the arcade. Presentation-wise, quite beautiful game. It is a 2-year-old game after all, since it was released in the arcade in '89. So we are talking about the port on the Super Nintendo. It's quite normal that it's not optimal. They were really betting on those big boss that take all the screen. And it was impressive, but not all games have those. And there's a lot of slowdowns. If there are too many bullets or enemies, everything slows down. We'll talk a little more about that later. And sometimes the Super Nintendo just can't handle it. And we're missing part of the screen and we don't even know what's going on. So technically it was a port and it looked like a port. It's still less apparent than some of today's games. Interesting fact, there's no cut between levels. Everything flows from one to the next. When you beat a boss, it goes right into the next level. So you don't have time to scratch your nose or take a drink unless you press pause. And I don't press pause. I'm hardcore. Excellent gameplay. We are talking about Konami. They knew what they were doing at the time. This is the 3rd Gradius game. They ported it on God knows how many consoles. Gameplay is solid. It is a shooter, so the objective is going around with your ship and shooting other ships in front of you, dodging bullets and walls. Now just to be clear, a shooter is not a first-person shooter. I know that usually when people say shooter, they mean first-person shooter, but this is a shooter. A little ship that goes around and shoots in front of him, usually advances automatically from left to right or from down to up. So how does Gradius game works? You have a little bar at the bottom. Each time you pick up some sort of red block, it's not really important. In the manual they call it red pods because blue pod explodes all the enemies on the screen. Red pods advance your weaponry at the bottom. When the weapon is highlighted, you can activate it. And when you activate a weapon, the cursor goes back to the beginning. Of course, the most powerful weapons are on the right. You have to be very careful because sometimes when you activate a weapon, it overrides the weapon you had before. And sometimes that weapon was much better than what you got right now. It leads to a lot of frustration. It can be a frustrating game. It is a difficult game. At least there is 3 levels of difficulty. And I pretty much had to stick with easy because I'm an old fart. And it's been a long while since I last played that game. Anyways, shooters are known to be difficult, so you know what you're getting yourself into. So when you start off, the game's not that difficult. You pick up your weapons, you shoot enemies, everything's going fine. There's a lot of missile in the screen and a lot of lasers and a lot of stuff's going on. And then all of a sudden you fuck, gotta start all over again. But you look at the time and it's been like 10-15 minutes. It's a game that you go in a trance. And you don't see time flying by. It looks like you've been playing for hours when you die, so it's kind of frustrating. But no, it's not that bad. It is kind of bad, because when you start up again, you got no weapons. You just got your little pea shooter. But yeah, the game throws you a couple of enemies, so you can pick up a couple of pods, but it's never enough. And good luck if you're in front of a boss. And it's when you restart that you realize that you go really slow. What's really cool with Gradius is that you can choose your weapon upgrades. That list of weapons that appears at the bottom. And in this version, you can even edit that list. Choose your missiles, your lasers, your options, all that good stuff. I was talking to you about slowdowns earlier? That's what I call the 8th power-up. Because when you stop shooting, everything goes very, very fast. But if you've got a lot of weapons and you start shooting, everything slows down. And you can dodge bullets and ships. Everything's fine. You gotta be careful because sometimes you're so used to the slowdowns that if you stop shooting and you just press a little on the D-pad, bang, in the wall. It's a Konami game, so one of the first thing I tried is the Konami code. Didn't work. And it really thinks it's an arcade game because at the title screen you see 4 credits. When you press start, it goes down. Hey, I'd love to be able to put quarters in my Super Nintendo. Might even make the game easier. Maybe that's why the game is so difficult. Wanted to take all your cash in the arcade. And I can assure you that on the arcade, it was the highest mode of difficulty. So, a couple of problems, but a classic nonetheless. Not sure if I'd recommend it. Depends on your style of play. If you like difficult game, if you like shooters, you'll like it. If not, just pass along. And we'll end on that. I wish you a good day, a good evening, or a good night. And remember, have fun. Peace. You just saw the second episode of a long series that should come out every week. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget that notification button. If you're interested, we have a French version available on the Retro Junction French channel. You can also subscribe to the Facebook page, and you can already take a look at episode number 2.